Before going into drama, please subscribe my channel. Thank you. In the beginning, we see Queen Xiao. She manages the kingdom well, but over time, things start to go wrong. Famine spreads across the land, and the people become unhappy with her rule. Some ministers and citizens begin plotting to remove her from the throne. But Princess Saw truly cares for her people and prays to the gods to find a solution. Her stepmother, the queen, gives her a final warning: if she fails this time, she must give up the throne. Meanwhile, in the modern world, there's a boy named Lin, who lives in poverty. His landlady demands rent and gets angry because he has no money, even though packages are lying outside his door. Lin is eating instant noodles when he comes across an old photo of Princess Saw. Suddenly, memories of his past life come flooding back. In reality, Lin was a general of the Young Empire in his past life, and he helped rule the kingdom alongside Princess Saw. They liked each other, but the princess's stepmother didn't want her to marry the general. So, she plotted against him and had him killed. But fate gave Lin another chance. He was reborn in the modern world. Now he's a poor, ordinary guy, but he remembers everything. One day, Lin receives a strange parcel. When he opens it, he finds a sand table model, an exact replica of the Young Empire. As he looks closely, he recognizes everyone, even Princess Saw, who is being troubled by others. Seeing this, Lin becomes furious that she's suffering after everything, and he decides to do something big. Princess Saw prays to the gods, and it's as if her prayers are answered. In the modern world, Lin, angry, squeezes the noodles in his hand, and the broken pieces fall onto the sand table. Magically, they reach Princess Saw's world. Once there, the pieces grow large in size, and the people around are terrified to see them. But without any fear, the princess touches them and smells the aroma of food. She believes the gods have finally heard her. Joyfully, she cooks the noodles and shares them with the people. Everyone eats the noodles and feels delighted. But one of the ministers begins to stir doubt among the people, saying this might be a trick from the queen. Watching all of this, Lin realizes that some people are trying to remove the princess from the throne. He quickly gathers more food and dumps multiple packets onto the sand table, sending an abundance of noodles into the princess's world. The kitchen gets completely filled, and the princess happily announces that there will be no shortage of food for the entire year. Just then, a soldier runs in and informs her that enemy forces have surrounded the kingdom from all sides. The princess gets scared. On the other side, Lin hears this and says angrily, "Back when I was alive, no enemy dared to even come near our kingdom. And now, when my princess is in danger, I won't sit quietly." He starts working on a plan and steps out to get some supplies, but bumps into his landlady on the way. She yells at him, but Lin ignores her completely and walks away. As soon as he leaves, the landlady peeks into his room, curious to discover the truth behind the big mysterious box. Meanwhile, half of Princess Saw's kingdom has already fallen into enemy hands. Some soldiers suggest she abandon the palace for her safety. But the princess, furious, replies, "Do you think I'm a weak, decorative princess? I love my country. As long as I'm alive, I'll keep fighting. I'm not one to run away. I'm proud of my general. He taught me that a true warrior never leaves the battlefield. And neither will I." On the other side, the enemy king prepares to execute his dark plans. The enemy king is cunningly destroying Princess Saw's kingdom and celebrates his victory. He tells one of his soldiers, "This kingdom had only one smart general, and I had him killed without anyone even realizing. Soon, I will conquer this entire land." Meanwhile, Lin's landlady is peeking into his room, curious about what's inside. Just then, Lin walks in and asks her what she's doing there. She quickly makes an excuse, saying she just came to collect rent, and asks how he receives so many parcels. Is he secretly rich? Lin clearly tells her it's his personal matter and that he'll pay the rent soon. He then walks inside and shuts the door. The landlady mutters angrily, "No money, but such attitude, like he's some prince or something." Inside the house, Lin pulls back the curtain and sees that Princess Saw's city is almost completely destroyed. Seeing this, he grabs his flamethrower and gets to work. Back in the other world, the princess is in a terrible state. Many of her soldiers have been killed. Some of them beg her to flee the castle while there's still time, but she refuses. She snatches a sword from one of the soldiers and points it at her own throat, saying she cannot bear to watch her people die. She's not someone who runs away. She says, if my general were alive today, he would never abandon the kingdom. That's why I'm ready to die, too. Just as she's about to take her own life, suddenly something falls from the sky, drawing everyone's attention upward. There, Lin appears, raining fire down on the enemies with his flamethrower. The enemy soldiers panic and begin to flee. Lin then unleashes a series of small explosions, terrifying the enemy king and his entire army. They all retreat in fear, thinking it's some kind of dark magic. Seeing the enemies run away, Princess Saw and her remaining soldiers rejoice. The princess looks up and thanks the heavens, but suddenly, Lin stops her and says, "Princess, you shouldn't bow to me. It's me who should bow to you." With that, he kneels before her. The moment she hears his voice, the princess immediately recognizes it. It's the voice of her general. When Princess Saw says it's the general's voice, everyone around her says they didn't hear anything. Hearing this, the princess becomes thoughtful and says, "Maybe I always think about the general so much that I hear his voice everywhere." She decides she must do something for the peace of the general's soul. That evening, she places the general's old clothes and his crown in one place and asks everyone to bow and offer their respects. But just then, Lin sneezes in the modern world, which causes a small storm to appear in the princess's world. The wind blows the general's crown into the sand table, and it disappears, transported into Lin's world. Seeing this, Princess Saw believes the general's spirit is still with them and is helping them from beyond. To test this, she places a gold brick into the sand table, and it too vanishes, appearing next to Lin. Now, everyone becomes convinced that the general's spirit is truly helping them. Joyfully, they start dropping more gold and silver jewelry into the sandbox, and everything gets teleported to Lin's room. Lin is amazed and overjoyed by all this. But just then, his landlady shows up at the door again, knocking loudly. When Lin doesn't answer, she tries to open it using a spare key. At that moment, Lin opens the door and angrily asks what she's doing there. The landlady says that if he can't pay rent, he should vacate the place. Lin shuts the door in her face, but a few moments later, he opens it again and hands her a gold brick. At first, the landlady is suspicious, but when she realizes it's real gold, she becomes extremely happy. Thinking Lin must be secretly rich, she tries to charm him. But Lin is a loyal man, his heart belongs only to his queen. He ignores her, shoves her out, and shuts the door. The landlady storms off angrily, muttering, "One day, I'll trap this guy for sure." On the other side, the enemy king starts planning again after his defeat, this time sending an even larger army. Princess Saw stands at the top of her castle, watching them approach. Suddenly, a few soldiers turn on her and begin to attack. But just in time, her royal guard steps in and saves her. It turns out that these traitorous soldiers were working for the enemy king and were trying to assassinate her. Lin watches all of this and panics. He grabs all his weapons but hesitates to use them, afraid he might accidentally hurt the princess. He starts searching for the perfect weapon, but when he can't find one in time, he accidentally bumps into the sand table, and suddenly gets transported into Princess Saw's world. Meanwhile, the enemy king smiles with satisfaction, thinking everything is going according to plan. Princess Saw's own soldiers are about to kill her, but then, the sky suddenly darkens. Everyone looks up, stunned. There, in the clouds, the general is descending in rage, heading straight for them. Many others, along with Princess Saw, see the general in the sky, and everyone becomes frightened. When the princess looks up at the sky again, there's nothing there, everything is clear, and the general has vanished. This deeply troubles her, and she wonders if she really saw the general, or if it was all just her imagination. Meanwhile, Lin returns from the princess's world and wonders why he couldn't fully enter that world. Then it dawns on him, maybe he can only send things to that world, but can't go there himself. He decides that even if he can't be there, he'll still do everything he can to help Princess Saw. Just then, he feels hungry. On the other side, when the enemy king learns that his plan has failed again, he becomes furious and screams at his soldiers. They tell him that it's the spirit of the general helping the princess, and that's why they can't defeat her. Hearing this, the king summons a dark sorcerer, commanding him to capture the general's spirit. As the sorcerer begins casting a spell to trap the spirit, Lin is watching all this unfold. In a burst of rage, he throws boiling noodle water onto the sorcerer. The sorcerer screams in pain and collapses, dying on the spot. Seeing this, everyone panics and runs away. Even the enemy king flees with his soldiers. Afterward, Princess Saw can't stop thinking about the general. Just then, her handmaiden informs her that her bath is ready. She goes to bathe, but even there, she's lost in memories of the general. She wonders whether he was truly watching her, or if it was all just in her head. But Lin is indeed watching her, not out of desire, but to keep her safe. In his heart, he says, "I'm not staring at you. I'm just protecting you, so that no harm can ever come to you." Suddenly, there's a knock at the door again. It's the landlady, back once more. When Lin opens the door, he's shocked to see her dressed in a revealing nightie, holding a beer and a glass, suggesting they spend the night together. She once again tries to seduce him, but Lin doesn't listen to a word she says. He silently takes the beer and glass from her, then shoves her out the door and slams it shut. Furious, the landlady storms off. Just then, her brother shows up and asks why she's so obsessed with a poor guy like Lin. The landlady tells him that she's been watching Lin. He lives like a broke man, eating only noodles, but pays rent in solid gold bricks. She suspects that he's hiding some treasure, and now her brother becomes suspicious too. He agrees to help her uncover Lin's secret. Back in the royal kingdom, after her bath, the princess is informed by a soldier that the queen has handed over the command of the army to the noble's son. It's clear that this is a ploy to sideline the princess from her rightful position. When the princess gets dressed and enters the royal court, she sees that the noble's son has now officially become the new commander-in-chief. The noble's son tells Princess Saw that she doesn't need to do anything anymore, he will handle everything himself. He says the princess should now open the gates of the fortress. But Princess Saw refuses to follow his orders and tells him to leave. Hearing this, the noble's son becomes furious and moves forward with his soldiers to attack her. Just then, the princess stops them and says, "You all know who is with me, so it would be wise for you to stay right where you are." Hearing her words, some soldiers become frightened, but the noble's son lures them with greed and takes them along. Lin is watching all of this from above. As soon as he sees that the soldiers are about to attack the princess, he throws a loudspeaker in the middle of them. A voice comes out of it, "If anyone dares to harm the princess, they will be destroyed." The soldiers had already seen the general's miracles before, so they fall to their knees in fear. But the noble's son isn't afraid. He says he doesn't fear the spirit of some general and moves toward the princess. At that moment, Lin gives him an electric shock, and he dies on the spot. Seeing this, Princess Saw becomes overjoyed and now firmly believes that the general has always been protecting her. After that, the princess tells her soldiers, "The real traitors are within our own kingdom, and now we must return and finish the noble, just like his son." Then they all begin their journey back to the kingdom. Meanwhile, Lin says, "As long as I'm alive, nothing will ever harm the princess." Just then, there's another knock at Lin's door. When he opens it, he sees the queen standing there, or at least that's what it seems at first. But he quickly realizes that it's not the real queen, it's just his landlady dressed up in royal clothes. Seeing this, Lin gets furious and says, "By wearing her clothes, you've insulted her." But the landlady continues to tease him and says, "Don't I look sexy in them?" Then she starts to leave, and Lin follows her outside. The moment they leave, her brother sneaks into Lin's room and starts snooping around. On the other side, while the princess is on her way back to her kingdom, she sees a small village. The soldiers stop the carriage and tell her that this is the general's village. Princess Saw gets down and lights a lamp to honor the general's spirit. There, she takes a vow that she will always protect her soldiers, just like the general did. Then she leaves her royal sword behind, and it teleports through a box to Lin's world. Meanwhile, in Lin's room, just as the landlady's brother tries to steal or find something, then Lin comes back into the room and tells the landlady and her brother to leave. But instead of leaving, they start searching the room. As Lin tries to stop them, the royal sword sent by the princess fell down from the table. As soon as the sword falls, Lin picks it up and points it at the landlady's brother's neck, shouting angrily for them to leave immediately. Seeing this, both of them get scared and run away. Outside, the landlady asks her brother what he saw in the room. He replies that he didn't see anything. To that, the landlady says, "No problem. I'll come up with a new plan next time," and they both leave. On the other side, when Princess Saw steps out, she sees the noble and the queen approaching. The noble glares at the princess in anger and says that she is responsible for his son's death. He says his son fought for the kingdom, and he was sent by the queen, not anyone else. So, it wasn't his son's fault, and by killing him, the princess did something terribly wrong. Now, he wants justice. The princess tries to explain that it wasn't her fault, because the noble's son was disturbing the spirit of the dead general, and it was the spirit that killed him in anger. Hearing this, both the noble and the queen become enraged. The queen says, "You're a princess, and yet you believe in ghosts and spirits? If that's the case, you should resign from your position, because clearly, you've lost your mind." The princess responds, "If I were the only one who saw the spirit, I might not have believed it myself, but all the soldiers there saw it too." Despite this, everyone present starts calling her crazy, saying she should step down from her role. The noble, in a rage, looks at the temple nearby and says, "After killing my son, they had the audacity to build a temple for that general. I will not tolerate this." He then orders his soldiers to burn down the temple. As some soldiers step forward to carry out the order, the princess's second general steps in and says, "Anyone who tries to burn this temple will have to fight me first." But the noble and his soldiers don't back down. He calls for more troops, and when some ministers try to stop him, he threatens them, saying that if anyone interferes, he'll ruin their lives. The princess steps forward and says she can't just stand by and watch the temple burn. Just then, the queen appears again, and the princess becomes powerless to act. On the noble's orders, the soldiers pile dry wood all around the temple and prepare to set it on fire. As one soldier steps forward to light the fire, a sudden strong storm sweeps in and puts out all the flames. Meanwhile, Lin is shown using a hair dryer to blow out the fire. He says angrily, "Noble, how dare you try to burn the temple that my princess built from her heart? I will never let that happen. Let's see how many more times you try to burn it down." Below, the noble is shown fuming with rage, wondering how the fire went out. The soldiers say that the storm was sent by the general's spirit, which is why the fire was extinguished. But the noble refuses to believe it. He calls it a rumor and says there are no spirits here. He orders the fire to be lit again. Just then, one soldier steps forward and says, "Forgive me, sir, but we shouldn't burn this temple, we too have seen the general's spirit." Hearing this, the noble kicks the soldier in anger and says, "The general died ages ago. His bones must have turned to dust by now. Stop this nonsense. If you're all scared, move aside, I'll light the fire myself." As soon as the noble lights the wood, another strong storm strikes again and puts out the fire. The princess says, "I had already warned everyone," but instead of listening, the noble becomes even more arrogant. He declares that he doesn't believe in any spirits and vows to burn down the temple no matter what. He calls for kerosene, pours it over the wood, and sets it on fire. The fire erupts, and he starts laughing loudly in triumph. Suddenly, Lin arrives and sprays the fire extinguisher, and the noble himself, with a fire extinguisher. Everyone is shocked. Lin says, "I may be far away, but not so far that I can't teach you a lesson." The noble, furious, yells, "Who dares throw this on me? Show yourself and fight me." He still doesn't believe it's the spirit doing all this. But the princess understands what's happening and says, "This is none other than the spirit of the general trying to teach you a lesson." The noble insists, this is all the princess's trick. She's using magic to make this happen. The princess calmly replies that he's mistaken. Suddenly, the queen, filled with rage, says, "Even if the general's spirit exists, don't turn him into a god. If this nonsense continues, the princess will have to give up her title." Everyone tries to reason with the queen, but she's too angry to listen. She pulls out the royal sword and declares, "Before dying, the king gave me this sword and told me, if anyone betrays the kingdom, kill them." Hearing this, everyone becomes fearful. The princess tries to calm her down, but the queen refuses to listen and says everyone is disrespecting her. Seeing her fury, even the ministers become afraid and start siding with the queen. Some people in the kingdom say that a dead general's spirit shouldn't be treated like a god. They argue, if he's truly so great, he must prove that he can protect the kingdom and help during crises. Only then will he be worthy of such honor. Otherwise, the princess should resign from her position. Hearing this, the princess agrees. In the next scene, people discuss how to test the general's spirit. Some ministers say the general has already done a lot, but granting him godlike status doesn't feel right. Just then, the princess arrives, and the queen challenges her, saying, "If the general's spirit is truly in heaven, let him show some miracles." The princess closes her eyes and prays. After a moment, two glowing orbs appear in the sky, resembling two suns. Everyone is amazed, seeing both the sun and moon together leaves people stunned. They start to believe that the general's spirit is indeed in heaven and is protecting the kingdom. But the noble still doubts it. He says, this could be the result of some kind of technology or collaboration. "I'm not convinced." He then suggests another test. He wants to bring in a special girl from the mountains. He says, if even she believes that the general's spirit is truly helping people, then I'll accept it. The queen supports him and declares that in a few days, it will be decided whether the spirit is real or not. Meanwhile, Lin is watching all of this from above. He uses lights to create the miracle in the sky and says, "No matter what, I will defeat this noble." Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. Lin quickly covers the table and opens the door. It's the landlady. She says her shower is broken and she wants to use Lin's bathroom. Lin refuses, but she forces her way inside. She then asks, "Do you want to shower with me?" Lin becomes very uncomfortable and walks out of the apartment. Outside, Lin thinks to himself that he has a lot to do for the princess, but this landlady is making things difficult. The scene then shifts to the royal palace, where we see all the ministers discussing the kingdom's affairs. The queen asks the princess what her next plan is, but the princess, being very clever, doesn't give a clear answer. She just makes an excuse. Seeing this, the queen gets angry and says, "I'm not just your queen, I'm also your mother, you should trust me." But the princess replies that she doesn't need anyone's help and that she can handle her problems on her own. Suddenly, the king of the enemy kingdom enters their palace. Everyone is shocked to see him and wonders what he's doing there. The princess asks him, and he says that he no longer wants war. He proposes a one-on-one battle between the two kingdoms to avoid a full-blown war and prevent innocent people from suffering. Everyone likes the idea, but the princess is suspicious. She feels there's something shady behind this plan. She resists, but the ministers pressure her, so she agrees reluctantly. When the battle is about to begin, everyone learns that the enemy king won't be fighting himself. Instead, he has sent a girl, a master from the north. She's no ordinary girl, she possesses many powerful abilities. Meanwhile, Lin is watching everything and wonders how to help the princess out of this situation. Suddenly, he feels like someone is watching him. But when he looks around, he sees his landlady taking a shower, so he quietly walks away. A little later, the battle begins. A soldier from the princess's side steps up to fight the girl. His friends warn him that she's extremely powerful. But he confidently says, "I'm not weak enough to lose to some girl." He attacks with full force using his sword, but the girl cleverly releases a poisonous insect on him, which makes him very sick. Everyone gets angry after seeing this, but the enemy king says, "In war, everything is fair." The girl then moves in to finish off the soldier, but just then, the princess's new general arrives and blocks her attack. The girl recognizes him and says, "You're the one who replaced the old general after his death." She says she wants to fight him next, and the general agrees to the challenge. The battle between the general and the girl begins. The general performs really well, and it seems like he's going to win. But suddenly, the girl pulls out a hidden snake, which bites the general, and its poison starts spreading through his body. The general writhes in pain. Then the girl uses her magic to summon even more poisonous creatures, snakes, scorpions, and deadly insects, aiming to destroy the entire city. Seeing this, the nobleman questions the princess, if the soul of the dead general has truly become a god, then why isn't he protecting the kingdom? The princess, now worried, says that the fight should be stopped. But the enemy king refuses, saying the battle must go on. The general tells the princess that even if he dies in this battle, he won't have any regrets. The girl moves forward to finish the general, but suddenly, a white mist starts to spread all around. On the other side, Lin is on the rooftop, spraying insect killer all over the city, and says, "Let's see who dares to harm my princess." Just then, his landlady comes out after showering and sees Lin talking to a table, which shocks her. Back at the scene, the white mist takes effect, and all the poisonous insects die. People cheer with joy, believing that it's a miracle by the spirit of the dead general. The girl becomes scared, and the general charges toward her. She panics and runs away. Then the princess confronts the enemy king, saying, "Now you've lost. It's better if you surrender and never return." But the enemy king says the battle isn't over yet, because outside help was used. This angers the ministers, and they remind him that he also used tricks earlier. The princess says, "Fine. We'll give you one more chance. Let's have another match." Lin hears this and gets frustrated, wondering why the princess gave the enemy another chance. Meanwhile, the landlady slowly walks toward the table, and gets shocked by what she sees placed on it. Then the next match begins, a horse race. Both teams bring out their horses and the race kicks off. It's a very intense race, and Lin gets so stressed that he starts shouting, "Run faster." The landlady hears him and says, "Can't you talk softly? I'm trying to watch." Lin panics and tries to make sure she doesn't get close to the table. The landlady insists that she wants to see what's on the table. Just then, Lin notices a cockroach on her towel. He screams out in fear, saying the landlady is scared of cockroaches. Frightened, the landlady shakes her towel, and the cockroach flies straight onto the secret table. Lin is shocked. Meanwhile, the competition results are about to be announced, and everyone is tense. But suddenly, a huge cockroach falls from the sky, terrifying everyone. People start running around in fear. Lin tries to keep the landlady away from the table, but she still tries to look at it. In anger, Lin scolds her and sends her outside. Then, Lin uses a special spray and kills the giant cockroach. Once the air clears, everyone sees that both racers have crossed the finish line, and the princess's team has won. The princess tells the enemy king that now he must admit defeat. The king accepts his loss, and Lin is overjoyed. But then, he sees the landlady approaching again. He quickly covers the table. The landlady says she saw the table and wants to look at it properly, claiming it's something very special. She says it could make them very rich. But Lin refuses, saying he's not interested in any kind of partnership, and throws her out. The landlady tries to get back inside, but Lin locks the door. Just then, her brother arrives and asks if she found anything inside. She replies, "We didn't find treasure, but there's a table in there that could make us super rich." The two of them start planning something. Meanwhile, Lin goes back to the table, and on the other side, the princess is remembering the general. She goes to the temple, tells the guards to wait outside, and sits alone, talking to herself. She says that maybe the general can't hear her anymore, but she loves him deeply and misses him terribly. She says that just when she realized she couldn't live without him, he left her. Lin hears all of this, and to let her feel his presence, as soon as the princess steps out of the temple, he fires a heart-shaped firework into the sky. The princess feels overjoyed, believing that the general heard her words and is still somewhere near her. But just then, Lin notices a group of people heading toward the princess, which shocks him. The warlord charges toward the princess, but her second general rushes to her side and tells her that the warlord has sent many soldiers to kill her. He says they must escape immediately. He takes the princess and runs away, while the other soldiers stay back to confront the warlord. Soon after, a battle breaks out, and the warlord's troops kill all the princess's soldiers, then start searching for her. Meanwhile, the princess and the general keep running all night, but by morning, the warlord finds them and surrounds them from all sides. The general steps forward, ready to fight. The warlord says he's clever and offers him a deal: if he surrenders, his life will be spared. But the general replies, "You should be worried about your own life, not mine." Just then, the princess comes out with her maid and warns the warlord, asking how dare he block her path. The warlord, enraged, says he's come to kill her because she killed his son. He says he tried many plans but failed every time, so now it's time for a direct war. He orders his soldiers to attack the princess. But suddenly, a massive army tank rolls up in front of them, terrifying all the soldiers. At the same time, Lin is searching for a way to save the princess, and he finds the vehicle with the army tank. He sends it into the princess's world and keeps the remote control with himself. The soldiers attack the tank, but it has no effect. Lin activates the tank, and it starts moving toward the soldiers. Frightened, the soldiers begin to run away. During the chaos, the warlord falls to the ground and struggles to save himself, but the tank keeps approaching him. Suddenly, the tank stops, and the warlord breathes a sigh of relief. In reality, Lin's remote battery has died. Just then, there's a knock on Lin's door. It's the landlady. Annoyed, Lin asks what she wants now. She pretends to be scared and says her house is on fire. Lin goes to help her, and at the same time, her brother sneaks into Lin's room. When Lin reaches the landlady's place, he sees there's no fire. He asks, "Where's the fire?" She replies, "The fire is in my heart, can you put it out?" Meanwhile, the warlord sees the tank has stopped and orders his soldiers to attack the princess. At first, the soldiers are hesitant and afraid, but the warlord threatens them, saying that if they don't kill the princess, he'll kill them instead. Just as the warlord's soldiers move forward to attack the princess, on the other side, Lin pushes the landlady away and says he's not interested in her, then storms off. Meanwhile, the landlady's brother breaks into Lin's house and sees the sand table. He realizes it's something very special and thinks he can sell it for a lot of money, so he tries to take it with him. But just then, Lin returns, and seeing him, the landlady's brother starts pulling the table. Lin also pulls it from his side, and the two start a tug-of-war. Meanwhile, in the princess's world, an earthquake suddenly hits, and all the soldiers fall to the ground. Back at Lin's place, during the struggle, the landlady's brother accidentally falls onto the sand table and suddenly disappears, getting transported into the princess's world. Lin is shocked to see this and wonders how, despite all his efforts, he couldn't enter that world, but the landlady's brother managed to do it in one go. Now Lin is thinking about how he can bring him back. Just then, his remote starts working again. Over in the other world, the army tank reactivates, and all the soldiers run away in fear. Lin saves the princess once again, but he's still anxious. That's when the landlady shows up at Lin's house, asking about her brother. Lin panics and tells her that her brother accidentally got transported into the sand table world. The landlady is shocked to hear this. Meanwhile, the landlady's brother finds himself surrounded by the warlord's army and is taken captive. The landlady pressures Lin to bring her brother back at any cost. Lin agrees to try but admits he doesn't know how yet. Over in the warlord's camp, the warlord is furious and tells his soldiers to kill the landlady's brother. But he gets scared and begs for his life, saying he can build a weapon that will help the warlord win the war. Hearing this, the warlord spares him and demands to know how he will help. Back in Lin's world, the landlady keeps yelling at Lin, blaming him for her brother's disappearance. Meanwhile, the princess discusses the state of the kingdom with her second general. Just then, a soldier arrives and says that many soldiers are falling sick. The princess panics and calls out to the general's spirit for help. The general, who is now a spirit accompanying Lin, sees everything and becomes worried. But the landlady says she has some allergy medicine, which she brings and pours into the well. As the soldiers drink the water, they start to recover. Later, it's discovered that the whole situation was a trap by the warlord. Now, everyone prepares to fight the warlord again. But when the warlord sees the soldiers have recovered, he becomes furious and starts beating up the landlady's brother. He angrily yells at the landlady's brother, saying, "You said they would all die, but they've come back." The landlady's brother replies, "I have another plan." He brings out a powerful machine that starts firing bullets and explosives. Many of the princess's soldiers are killed, and the rest flee in fear. The warlord is thrilled to see this. But Lin is watching everything and launches an attack on the warlord. The princess, observing it all from the camp, is overjoyed, because she realizes it's the spirit of her general helping them. The warlord, now furious, starts shouting at the landlady's brother again. Just then, more shells begin to rain down, and everyone runs back to the camp in fear. Lin spots the landlady's brother, and the landlady sees him too, but he hides inside the warlord's camp. There, the warlord shouts at him again. So the brother comes up with yet another plan. He fires shells into the sky, hoping they'll reach Lin's house. But as they rise, the shells shrink and cause little damage. He fires a missile also, then uses his slipper to redirect it back toward the warlord's side. The missile explodes right there, scaring everyone. The warlord, furious, shouts, "Don't try anything else." But the landlady's brother says, "I have one last plan." He gives the soldiers guns and teaches them how to shoot. Soon, they attack the princess's army again, killing several soldiers. Lin, now angry, says it's time to stop him. But the landlady shows wisdom and traps all the gun-wielding soldiers inside a glass container. The landlady's brother tries to break the glass, but nothing happens. Just then, the princess's soldiers attack. A battle breaks out. The landlady's brother starts firing his gun, but runs out of bullets, so he runs away. The warlord, enraged, captures him, ties him to a post, and says, "If luck is on your side, maybe you'll survive." Back in Lin's world, the landlady is extremely upset and starts arguing with Lin. During the scuffle, they both accidentally get pulled into the other world. As Lin gets up, he sees his old soldier, who is now the general. Lin bows to him and says, "General." The landlady is shocked and asks, "Are you really the general here?" Lin nods, and she becomes delighted. Just then, the princess enters. Lin tells the general, the landlady's brother is a prisoner, go and rescue him. So the general and the landlady head out together. The princess then comes up to Lin and begins to tell him how she spent her time after he left. And finally confesses her love for him. Hearing this, Lin opens up and shares everything, where he had been all this time and what he was doing. All the misunderstandings between them fade away, and the princess kisses Lin. Some time later, the general returns after capturing all the enemies. As soon as the warlord sees the former general, he's completely shocked. The new general then takes the warlord away as a prisoner. Meanwhile, the landlady rescues her brother, and soon, everyone gathers in one place, talking and laughing as everything seems to be finally normal. Just when it seems like everything is fine, a mysterious girl shows up at Lin's house. Her face isn't shown, but she uses a fishing hook to pull Lin up and away. And that's where the drama ends. If like this video, please subscribe my channel.